Don't forget to enter our Amazon gift card giveaway. All you have to do is like the video and comment. Hey guys, the third episode of the final season, titled The Long Night, was the longest Game of Thrones episode, although the Long Night itself turned out not to be that long compared to the last one that lasted for generations. It was one hell of an episode, and before we do breakdown on episode 4 preview, let's firstly review season 8 episode 3. The episode begins with preparations being underway, with the army of the dead just outside the walls, and the tension heavy among the living. The first 10 minutes of the episode are sumptuously slow build to the army of the dead's attack. Dolores Set gets the first line of the night when Sam sidles up next to him, looking terrified. Ed makes hilarious comment about Sam being there on the battlefield, knowing fully well he should be down in the crypts, because all he would accomplish in this battle is giving hard time to others defending him. Ed himself died protecting him, Jorah had to save him as well, and David John had to make a stop to help Sam on his way to the Godswood to protect Bran from the Night King. All Sam was during this battle is liability. Anyways, back to it. A rider emerges from the darkness, and we're all expecting something terrible. But no, it's Melisandre. She's back as expected. In the season 6 finale, Melisandre said to Jon, "I can help you win this war," when trying to convince him not to banish her from the north. And here she is, coming to their aid in the last moment. Melisandre touches the Arek of a Dothraki rider, says a few magic words in Valyrian, and it lights on fire. And then the Areks of every single person in the Dothraki cavalry are set ablaze, which is personally my favorite shot of the whole episode. Still, there's something that I don't quite get about all of this. During first 2 episodes, Winterfell is preparing for battle, arming everyone with dragonglass, and here they are, the Dothraki wielding ordinary Areks. Let me remind you that only Valyrian steel, dragonglass, and fire can be used to kill whites. What was the plan for Dothraki? Mass suicide with their Areks not even wielding suitable weapons? I mean, it was still a suicide attack with the flaming Areks, but at least they now had a weapon that could actually be used to kill the army of the dead. Before Melisandre arrived, was it really their plan for Dothraki to fight against the Night King's army with weapons that cannot even kill them? Thank the Lord of Light Melisandre arrived in the last moment, to at least give the Dothraki a proper weapon to fight the Night King's army. The first charge is ready to fight the Dark. Davos is not so pleased to see her. They have unfinished business on account of torching Shireen Baratheon, but Melisandre manages to convince him to spare her for a little longer. There's no need to execute Mr. Davos. I'll be dead before the dawn. Melisandre then gives a long look to the unexpected hero of this episode, Arya Stark, and here we could already tell Arya is going to have a great role to play in this battle. The Dothraki cavalry, led by Jorah and accompanied with Ghost, charge into the void and attack the army of the dead, flaming Areks held high, and the Unsullied catapulting fiery balls of pitch past them. We watch from a distance as the flaming Areks swirl and slash, and then go out, slowly but surely, until almost none remain, and a few spare Dothraki slink back to the castle. Jorah survived, and we are left wondering if Ghost made it. However, season 8 episode 4 preview gave an answer to that question. He's alive and well. Ghost lives. I'm still disappointed Nymeria and her pack of wolves did not come to help the Starks during this battle. Dany and Jon watch this from a nearby hill with Drogon and Rhaegal, waiting for the Night King to come for Bran in the Godswood. Watching her army get slaughtered, Dany abandons the plan quickly, and Jon has little choice but to follow her into the air. Jaime saves Sir Brienne from a gruesome death at White Hands, just before Dany comes in with Drogon to save them all for a moment. On Rhaegal, Jon scopes out the situation and spots the row of White Walkers nearby. He's getting good at handling his mount, but the walkers use the cover of snow to confuse Jon in mid-air. On the walls of Winterfell, Arya tells Sansa to go down to the crypt, as she sees the battle is getting ugly, but Sansa doesn't want to at first, saying she'll not abandon her people. Arya convinces her to go down and arms her with Dragon's blade. Sansa says she doesn't know how to use it, and Arya tells her to stick them with the pointy end, the same thing Jon said to Arya in the second episode of the very first season. That's a nice little callback. In the Godswood, Bran awaits his destiny with Theon guarding him, while Jorah, Jaime, Brienne, Tormund, Gendry the Hound and others make their way through the undead. In the thick of it, Sam is nearly killed by a White, but Dolores Set saves him. His relief can only last for a moment, as his old Night's Watch friend is killed just then by a White. Then we have an emotional conversation between Bran and Theon in the Godswood. Theon apologizes for the things he's done, but Bran cuts him off and says everything you did brought you where you are now, where you belong, home. Just as I predicted, but unfortunately that wasn't the only prediction regarding Theon that came true. Next we see Bran warging into a few ravens and spying on the Night King. In the crypt, Sansa finds a group of scared women and children accompanied by Tyrion. Outside, the fog of war is so bad that Jon and Dany actually scrape each other as they fly by on their dragons. On the ground, the living are wisely falling back to Winterfell as the dead continue to dominate the battlefield. The Unsullied hold the dead back as the rest of the living retreats. The army of the dead attacks the trench posts where they can, while Arya picks off whites with her fiery arrows, saving the Hound. Arya tries to use her flaming arrows to light the trenches, but the cold prevents her from doing so. Dany was supposed to do it with her dragon, but the fog of war is so thick that Davos waving his torches cannot get her attention. Grey Worm is quick to solve this problem, escorting out Melisandre to the front line so she can light a trench on fire. The Hound cannot handle the fire, he retreats from it, as we have already known he would from the trailer. He's terrified and in fear of all the fire around him. Winterfell is on fire, there are flaming swords around him, and flaming arrows flying all around. However, just as I predicted, he's quick to overcome his fear to help a Stark in trouble. In the crypts, Tyrion argues in favor of going above to help. After all, he might be able to, using his mind. If we were there, we could see something that others do not, something that makes a difference, he tells to Varys, who doubts it. Tyrion points on the Battle of the Blackwater, and how he was the one who saved King's Landing that day, which he did, as beside it being his plan to use wildfire on Stannis' fleet, he also saw a secret passage, through which they could attack Stannis from behind, which they did and which brought them victory. Varys acknowledges that, but also points out that he almost died that day as well. Tyrion admits, but still he made a huge difference. It's an ongoing conversation. I do somehow believe that if Tyrion had been outside, it might have made a difference. Not just because, as he said himself, he will be surprised what I do to avoid joining the army of the dead. There is no organization less suitable for my talents, but because Tyrion really did make a big difference back at King's Landing when defending it, so he maybe could have made a few better moves out there as well. Sansa says they all would be useless out there, and most heroic thing they could do now is look the truth in the face. Tyrion and Sansa also spoke about their marriage, which Sansa finds hard to ever work because of the Dragon Queen and his divided loyalties. Missandei says without the Dragon Queen there would be no problems, we would already be dead, and I have to agree with Missandei on this one. If not for the Traki, the Unsullied and most importantly her two dragons, they would all die at Winterfell. Back to the battle. The trench did buy them some time, but eventually the Whites laid down on it and formed bridges, rendering the barriers useless. The Whites quickly stormed the walls, and now the battle truly begins. There is no retreat from here. Watching Gendry panic, seeing the Whites crawl up the wall made us all think he might die there, but we are quick to be reminded he is the son of Robert Baratheon, who was one of the best warriors in his time, as he kills Whites. Jaime and Brienne fight at each other's backs. Sam almost dies again, but Jorah saves him. Arya kills a bunch of Whites, but soon enough even she is not able to fight them off due to their numbers, and all she can do at that point is try to survive. Seeing her in trouble, the Hound finally jumps back into the fight. The battle does not go well as the army of the dead quickly wins the walls and breaches its gates. This is something I have been expecting, and doesn't come as a surprise at all. The Night King had multiple giants in his army, and Jon only needed one to get inside Winterfell in the Battle of the Bastards. Although what I did not expect is for it to go straight for Lyanna Mormont. The White Giant knocks aside several men, killing them and injuring Lyanna. However, Lyanna is of House Mormont, and here she stands and has no intentions of running away. She fiercely runs toward the giant, who scoops her up and crushes her, but then with her last breath she kills it with a dragonless axe through its eye. They both fall to the ground dead. The battle is in the skies now, with Viserion attacking his siblings and their riders. They're holding their own for now. Down there, Arya sneakily makes her way through the Winterfell library, avoiding Whites along the way. She makes it out alive, but the tension in that scene and the long run from the library was horrific. Beric and the Hound are searching for Arya through the halls of Winterfell, and they find her. Arya is saved, but Beric's last life is lost when he takes several wounds whilst protecting Arya. They manage to get him away, but just long enough to bring him to a room where Melisandre is. We learn why Beric was brought back to life by the Lord of Light so many times. His destiny was to save Arya Stark, so she could later stab the Night King with the pointy end. Melisandre says the Lord of Light brought him back for a purpose, and now that purpose has been served, which is when Melisandre and Arya reunite. And that's where Melisandre's prophecies come into play. She told Arya back in season 3 that she would see her again, and that she will shut many eyes. Brown eyes, green eyes and blue eyes. Arya is quick to figure out which eyes she is not shut yet, the blue eyes, and she knows her purpose. She realizes Beric had to die for her so she could shut those blue eyes, the Night King's eyes, and then she leaves the room with a clear mission. Outside riding on Viserion, the Night King blasts a hole in the Winterfell walls, but before he can land, Jon and Rhaegal attack him, and we finally get two dragons fighting. Seeing Jon Snow and Rhaegal against the Night King and Viserion reminded me of the battle above the God's Eye, which was an aerial duel that took place in the skies above Harrenhal and the God's Eye, between two of the most powerful dragons, Vhagar and Caraxes, and the Riders, Prince Aemon Targaryen and Prince Daemon Targaryen, during the civil war called the Dance of the Dragons. Caraxes slammed into Vhagar, locking his jaws on Vhagar's neck, just like the Night King's and Jon's dragons did to each other. Rhaegal's wing is also tore, which we can tell from the episode 4 preview. At the last moment, Dany swoops in on Drogon and knocks the Night King from Viserion. Jon hits the ground with Rhaegal, but soon so does the Night King, exposed for Dany to take her shot. Dracarys, but fire cannot kill him, which doesn't come as a surprise to me as it might to others. I already talked about it in my videos. We already saw the Night King walking through Dragonfire in Season 7. Anyways, faced with the threat of losing another dragon to the Night King, Dany and Drogon retreat. Jon makes a run for the Night King on foot, but the Night King doesn't want to take his chances against Jon. He raises all of those who have fallen, every Unsullied, every Dothraki, every Northern soldier, every Knight of the Vale, every Wilding. As predicted, he even raises the long dead Starks from their tombs down in the crypts. In episode 2 it was mentioned way too many times how the crypts are the safest place to be, for them to actually be safe. It's a total massacre. The only thing I don't quite understand is why there was no Lyanna Stark who recently seized Rickon Stark White, because they said those Stark corpses that came to life are hundreds of years old, so how come there was none of these characters among them? Well, anyway, then the Night King just walks away and leaves his minions to take on Jon. Bran was indeed his target all along, but he wanted to wait until the forces of Winterfell were completely overcome before heading to the Godswood and taking his shot. Back outside the castle walls, Jon is facing down a huge amount of whites, but is saved when Dany comes to his rescue and burns a path for him to reach Winterfell and help Bran. She also lands her dragon for no apparent reason thereafter. Drogon is being attacked by whites, down to the point where Dany is on foot, and about to be killed when Jorah comes to his queen's aid. Drogon flies off to save himself, while Jorah and Dany fight for their lives. It was so strange to see Dany wield a sword, but she did pretty good job, one's got to admit. Jorah slashes away, taking more hits, and some deep ones as he defends Dany. Viserion lands in the center of Winterfell and starts burning it with his blue flame. As Jon runs to the courtyard of Winterfell to get to the Night King, everyone fights their best, from Jon himself, Jaime, Brienne, Podrick, Sam, Theon to Jorah and Dany. As the Night King arrives in the Godswood, Bran returns to himself to see the end of Theon, who is the last man standing between him and the Night King. Theon, Bran says, "You're a good man. Thank you." This scene definitely made most of us tear up, but Theon is relieved. He charges at the Night King with a dragonless spear and dies, but he dies a hero. Theon's whole story was going this way, and as expected, he died protecting Bran. He saved his sister, he came back to Winterfell to defend his home and the Starks. He fully redeemed himself. His story was bound to end here. The Night King is on Bran, approaching him as he did the other Three-Eyed Raven. Just when it seems it will end the same way, a leaping assassin jumps on the Night King. The Night King turns to catch her, but then Arya drops her Valyrian steel dagger into the other hand, just like she did in Season 7 when sparring with Brienne, and aims low for his heart, the place where the Dragonless penetrated so long ago to create the Night King. So basically the dagger used to start a war between humans in Season 1 is now used in Season 8 to end the one with the undead. I suppose Bran knew what was going to happen all along. That's why he gave her the dagger when they reunited. He knew Arya would save him and all humanity at the last moment. And as the Night King shatters, every White Walker shatters along into ice and every white drops as well. Viserion's flame dies and he's gone. Winter fell at Winterfell. As much as many people love this scene, there are just as many people hating on it, saying that it doesn't make any sense how Arya could sneak up on the Night King like that, especially because he was accompanied with all the White Walkers. I actually don't have a problem with Arya killing the Night King, but it was a bit underwhelming that the Long Night lasted this short, and that all the building up to the Night King and his unstoppable army of the dead was stopped in his first major battle. In fact, in my opinion, it makes sense that Arya sneaked up on the Night King without being noticed by him or his White Walkers, because it was foreshadowed to happen. Remember in the season premiere when Jon and Arya reunited, Jon was standing exactly where the Night King was, and asked Arya, "How did you sneak up on me?" It's not like Arya has insane stealth skills all of a sudden, she's had it all along, and sneaking up unnoticed on the Night King was definitely foreshadowed to happen. Some of you might ask, but why was Jon even resurrected when he did not play any major part in this battle? Or how can Arya be the one to kill the Night King when it was supposed to be him, the prince that was promised, the one that is born of line of the Mad King? Well, who said it's got to be him to kill the Night King? Remember, the prophecy said the prince was promised would bring the dawn, not necessarily kill the leader of the White Walkers. Jon still is the prince that was promised in my opinion, and it might be Arya who delivered the final blow, but it's Jon who brought the dawn. Jon was resurrected for a purpose just like Beric was. If Jon had stayed dead, the Starks probably would not have gotten Winterfell back. Without Jon, Dany does not go to North to help, and even if Sansa had managed to get Winterfell without Jon, her forces would have been crushed by the Night King, and all of them would have died. Without Jon, Arya doesn't go home and doesn't kill the Night King, because remember, she went to Winterfell after hearing that Jon is the king in the north. Arya is the one who killed the Night King, but in my opinion it's Jon Snow, the prince that was promised, who brought the dawn. That's why the Lord of Light brought him back to life in season 6, and he served his purpose. That's just my opinion. After the dead are defeated, standing by Dany, Jorah drops to his knees. He protected his queen and now he can die. True knight. As Jorah dies, Dany weeps for her protector, who has been with her for very long. Drogon curls himself around Dany to make her feel better. His death marks the end of House Mormont. Here they stood, and the North will remember them. Survivors surround the castle, stand in shock of what has happened. With her destiny fulfillment, Sansa strides out of the gates of Winterfell and discards her cloak and necklace. Her true form revealed, she collapses into dust before the sun rises. The end of episode 3. Episode 4 will be amazing, and one cannot wait to see it. It'll be a build-up episode for the last war that comes in episode 5. Stay tuned for the episode 4 preview breakdown. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to our channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.